All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. This is Brandon Ivey from Los Angeles, California. Welcome to our special once in a year live training on a topic called The Secret. Go ahead and type your name in the chat box of where you're listening in from. As a disclaimer, I'm not a licensed financial advisor to be giving financial advice. I share information for educational, training, and entertainment purposes only, and it is up to you to make your own informed, intelligent decision on which direction you want to move into. And I do want to recognize you guys. We are also streaming live on Facebook and multiple of my groups. So if you would like to share this information and you're on Facebook, you can just go to my page, share it. You can share it on your own page, share it to your groups, share it to your friends. This is information that I only share once a year. Once a year. And it is my favorite topic because it is the topic that has had the most impact on my life when it comes to personal development and self-improvement training. So I see we have on the line so far Miss Marnita Casa, Amy Hazel, who has just become ILCA certified. So congratulations, Amy. I'll be working on some new certified music for Amy. That's something else I love to do. Also, we have Brian Atterbury, Carla Arrigo, Chris Hall, CJ Jackson, Clairville Albert, Doreen Buckner, Elijah Morgan, Gina Muhammad, who's I know she's bouncing off the walls like my wife is right now because the Eagles just won. That was a close game. Gold Reserve Group, Janelle, Judy from Toronto, Kathy Green, Kenny Taylor, Leonard Long. There's Kenny, Gina's been asking about you, seeing how you doing. So there's Kenny Taylor, Leonard Long, Levi Yoder, Melvin Robinson Jr., Pedro Matviv, Rhoda, Rita B, Sandy Lynn, Tammy Lee Gully, T-Man, and Wild Bill. And also everybody that is watching on Facebook and the thousands of people that always like to watch the replay as well. Thank you for being here tonight. This is December 28th, 2025. We're coming to the end of a year and the beginning of a new year. And it's always this time of the year where people are reflecting on their lives, where they are today, what's gone all over the past year. Have they reached any of their goals and what adjustments that they need to make for the new year? It's a new beginning, a fresh start for everybody. Although you can make a fresh start whenever you want. You don't need a calendar to tell you that, but psychologically we have been predispositioned to think this way. And so this is also why I do this call at the end of the year because I also do the same thing. I go through a self-reflection. I reflect on what's happened over the past year. Where have I grown? What have I missed? What do I need to work on? What should my focus be going into the new year? And then I execute. Now I'm doing something different this year, and let me already get this set up. I'm going to do the same thing I did last year. I love to have some background imagery going on at the same time because people learn differently, and I want to get you guys in the right mood setting, the right atmosphere. And so I'm going to be playing some images that will be going on behind the scenes for you guys. So just relax and watch along with it as I speak, 'cause I don't really like to stare at myself while I am doing this. But I am doing something different. Normally, when I do this type of a call, I go back and watch my previous ones and I look to see how I've grown since I started doing this. And the very first time I did this type of a lesson formally, the year was 2013. The first time I learned of this information or was made aware of this information was 1999. And the first time I started teaching it unofficially was 2011, no, 2012, when I started unofficially, because that's the year that I was able to walk off my job and retire. So saying that this year I did not do that. I did not go to my old. Oh, why is this doing this? I thought I had. I think I have the wrong set playing. Let me double check and see what did I do. Give me 1 second here. No, that's my son's. Yeah, let me get this set remote one more time. Okay. And all right, all right. Yeah, I had the wrong set playing. That was my other dream board. All right, if you guys can still see my screen and hear me clearly, type Y in the chat box. Let me refresh that. Share screen. So if you can see this clearly, type Y in the chat box. We're still good to go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so as I was saying, the first time that I formally taught this information was in 2013, and I'm not going back to see what I covered before. I'm coming into this tonight with a clean slate. And what do I mean by that? Meaning, I did not have an outline, I did not have a plan. I'm just going to speak. And I'm also going to be a student. It's going to be whatever comes to me because I'm doing an experiment on myself. I'm celebrating my last year, being 49 years old before I turned 50. I am looking to see how much I've grown, what other areas that I need to focus on and move into, and how I'm viewing the secret. See, this is not information that I've made up. That's why I say I'm a student as well, so I can be a student of myself because this is information that I did not create. I may share my own interpretation of the information, but this is information that does not matter who you are, does not matter where you were born, does not matter what your education level is, does not matter what knowledge you have. It doesn't even matter whether you believe in this or not because it's irrelevant. This information is a law. It's the law of the universe. It's like gravity. It works whether you intend it to or not. And the other crazy thing about this secret is that it is hidden in plain sight, even though it's called the secret. Everybody has access to this, and every single one of you practice this on a daily basis. You just don't realize you're doing it. See, the goal of this call and this information is to make you aware so that you are now consciously aware of this law and you can consciously make decisions to make it work in your favor. 90% of people that are using this law, you're using it and it's working against you and you don't even know it. Here's one of the main things that how it's working against you is because when people hear the word the secret, you might have heard of Rhonda Byrne, Bob Proctor. In fact, when I first heard of this, it was through when I came into network marketing 1998, 1999. I was told that I need to go read a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. How many of you have ever read that book? Type me in the chat box. Think and Grow Rich. So even though that came on my radar screen in 1999, I did not actually start to apply this knowledge until 2010. And don't think just because I started to apply it that I had Cinderella success in my life because the very next year was one of the most difficult years in my life for my family. And that had to happen. It's also part of the law. If you want to change things in your life, you have to change the things in your life. When you're ready to go from where you are today to move to something different, whatever you have going on today is going to be disrupted. And sometimes it happens violently, it happens with no remorse, it happens in a way that you might think is evil or not fair. but you asked for it. And most people, when that happens, they're not prepared and they retreat to go back to the safe haven of what they know. They're comfortable in their discomfort. See, we have to get you comfortable getting out of your discomfort and be comfortable with change and something new. And it took me more than 10 years to actually start to apply that. But when I go back to why I wasn't applying this sooner, or many of you have read the book The Secret, or you've watched the movie The Secret with Rhonda Byrne and Bob Proctor and such, and you attempted to apply it, it wasn't working. See, one of the biggest problems, and I've never said it this way before until now, because I was thinking about this the other day. When people think of the secret and they want to apply it, they always apply it to the fact of wanting to make more money. Wanting to make more money. And the universe is not built with the construct of you wanting to make more money. I'm a space geek. I love everything to do with space, to do with how vast our cosmos is, that our brains cannot comprehend the size of the universe. We think we know. We don't have a clue. It is like an ant trying to understand an iPhone or the internet. It's not possible. We can be aware of it. We can observe it with our limited means, but we can never understand it. We're not built to understand it. You have to think of the universe as nature, natural. Everything is connected. Everything. Nothing ever gets fully destroyed. It just changes form. The idea of money is a man-made concept. When you look at our planet and you look at everything that's alive on our planet, only one species has a system in place dealing with monetary system. I have to pay to get something that was created naturally. So when you're attempting to apply this knowledge with the goal of, it's a natural knowledge with the goal of attaining something that was created by man, it doesn't work. It doesn't connect. So the first thing is getting your mind away from the idea that my life does not have meaning unless I have a lot of money. Now, if you have no money, you're like, well, that's a stupid statement. You know how happy I would be if I had a lot of money, if I won the lottery? I mean, all my bills would be paid. I would live the life of my dreams. I wouldn't have all the problems that plague me today. I could sleep without worry. What are you talking about? That money is the problem, right? If that was the case, every person with money would be living a blissful life. And we see by evidence that that's not true. That some of the most depressed people in the world are people who have a whole lot of money. And there's a reason why, and I'll explain that a little later on. How can you be so depressed and you have all the money in the world? That doesn't make sense. See, what I want you to be aware of the concept of not thinking about using this knowledge to gain more money. What you want to think about is using this knowledge to have a good quality of life. Now, a good quality of life is different to different people. $1 million in the bank can provide a good quality of life for one individual, and it barely scratched the surface for somebody else. What is that number that you need? 1 million, 50 million, 5 billion, 1 trillion? When is enough enough? Another problem that most people are brainwashed with is that you can only be successful on the competitive field. You have to beat somebody else. You have to take from somebody else because there is a lack of money or resources. When I go back to the idea of the universe and the cosmos, and as big as it is, how many of you have ever seen a picture of Earth from the most furthest distance? The Voyager shot a picture of the Earth from beyond Pluto, close to the Oort cloud. And all you see is a tiny speck. That's right, it's not even a pixel, not even a dot. Smaller than a grain of sand in this vast openness and still in just this solar system. Our own galaxy has billions of stars. The Hubble and the James Webb telescope took a picture of the night sky that's about this big, like a box of square. That's they consider the darkest part of the sky, and they found trillions of galaxies. And every galaxy has billions of stars. Yet, with our simple minds, we think that there is a lack of resources for us to survive, that there's not enough to go around. All of our history that we know of came from that little dot. So, one, we've got to expand your mind. And when I say everything is connected, the best type of visual I can give you to understand is think of water. And water is flat, and there's no ripples or there's no waves. And you drop one drop of water into the mass, and you see ripple effect. Now, everything that water touches has now been impacted by a little ripple. Remember the earthquake and tsunami, the Christmas Day tsunami out in the Indian Ocean that touched how many countries? Hundreds of thousands of people died because of that. Because of one earthquake thousands of miles away caused a chain reaction that everybody felt. Now, not everybody felt the earthquake, but they felt the water that hit that was caused by the earthquake. The cosmos is the same way. Gravity is the same way. The sun is in motion. The planets are not just going around the sun in a circle. As the sun moves, the planets are moving with the sun. We're never in the same place twice. And the sun is traveling around our galaxy. And the galaxy is traveling around as well as part of a larger structure. So what we do impacts not just yourself, but it impacts everything around you as well. It's all connected. We just don't understand it or see it unless it's in front of our face. Cause and effect. Radio waves, signals, vibrations, energy. Money is just energy that changes form over time. Money was created to incentivize humans to perform some type of labor and be rewarded for something to keep society going, as society was built this way. But mankind has only been on this planet for a blink of an eye to the history of this planet. The resources that we use for money have been here before we were, and they'll be here after we're gone. The key is how do I tap into that information? And then how can I manipulate that information to benefit my life today? I hope what I'm saying here is making sense. I try not to go too deep and lose you, but I'm trying to what's in my head translate. Okay. And sometimes the translation is not always clear, the language. But this is something more that I know and feel than I can articulate. And it's based on experience. So let's go back to Think and Grow Rich. The reason, well, let me tell you this way. Did you know that that book is only a preview of the real thing? In fact, the way it is read today and released today is purposely misleading you. It's only giving you part of the information. I said this to, I don't remember if it was our diamond class or inner circle or what the other day when I said it's like making a your Christmas dinner and you've got all the ingredients, but you leave something out. And that one thing you left out was the most important part of the dish. And you're like, but I got 90% of the other ingredients right. But if you don't have that main piece, it doesn't come out right. You know it doesn't taste right. You know something's off. Think and Grow Rich is is your dinner with the missing ingredient. And it was done that way on purpose. The original version did have the right ingredient. And somebody by the name of Henry Ford and his cabal, when they saw what Napoleon Hill was really up to, his little vanity project, they shut that thing down quick and pulled all those books off the shelves and had them write multiple versions till they said it was watered down enough to go ahead and release. You might, Brandon, how do you know this information? Because throughout history, this information is taught, just not in school. It's being taught by wealthy people to their families. They have their own private libraries. They have books that are not in circulation that you don't have access to in multiple different languages, old knowledge that has been taken out of circulation. Everything that you consume today has been sanitized. It has been vetted by the powers that be to create a subservient system that serves them at the expense of you. And then as centuries pass on, the knowledge that there actually was something before has faded away with time. Only the families know about it. You don't. And then even when you're shown this, because it's not something you were taught growing up, you automatically dismiss it as paganry or something. The Bible teaches the secret. Did you know that? It's just done in a different way so you can understand. My very first my I would say my first lesson on this was from my mother. When I was young, I got the chicken pox twice, when I was 4 and when I was 6. I got it like partially when I was 4. And I remember uh taking the calamine baths and all that and before going to bed, my mom had socks on my hands so I couldn't scratch myself and my grandma was praying. And I remember I was like 4 and my mom saying, "All right, let's say our prayers and thank the Lord for healing you." And in my mind, I'm like, "Yeah, I'll thank the Lord once I feel better." And my mom's like, "No, no, no, no. You give thanks now because the healing is a done deal." And I was like, "Nah, nah, nah, nah. Look at my skin. I'm still itching. When I feel better, I will give thanks and praise for healing me. And my mom was trying to teach me, no, you got to give thanks before the act as if. Have faith. Faith is not something that can be proven. Faith is having eyes that can't see the unknown. Now, for those who think, oh, that's just religious mumbo jumbo talk, it's actually scientific truth to it. Why? If you've ever gone through church revivals, prayer sessions, ultimate belief, don't you feel better after it? The anticipation, I will be healed. God's got this. I give my worries to Him. Don't you feel better? You're not worrying about it anymore. See, here's the science behind this. The science is that you are changing your physiology. You're changing how you feel. And by doing that, you are now vibrating at a different frequency. And by vibrating at a different frequency, your brain is now transmitting energy out into the void, something that you cannot see. And by doing that, your body and your mind is vibrating at a healing frequency. And your brain tells your body to feel the way you say you want it to feel. And you start attracting it back to you. Sense? So by believing that you're already healed has an impact on your body's self-healing. This is actually measurable. I'm only giving you an example. Let me give you another example if we're going to use the Bible as an example here. There are two men working a 9 to 5 job. The same job is not paying them enough money, and they're miserable, and they want more. And they both go home and they pray for a better job, and they want more. God answers prayers. It's just not always the way you think it should be. But what happens is both men go to work the next week after a week-long praying for more and better, and they both get laid off from their job. One of the men says, "What, God, what the hell? I prayed for something better. I need to be in a better position than I am. Now I lost my job and I'm in a worse position than I was before. Screw that. I'm not praying no more. I don't have belief in this." And they find another job that was paying them less money than they were before. The other man says, "Wow, Lord, I prayed for something better, and I've been laid off from this job, and now I guess you're opening doors for me." And now the same thing happened to both people, but they didn't react the same way. The one who gave thanks for getting laid off because it's leading to something else was open and kept vibrating on that frequency. Next thing you know, they got another job offer paying twice that he was earning before, and was in a much better situation that had he remained on that job, that opportunity would have never been available. He had to be laid off to be able to be moved over here. See, when I say that, once I started to put this in practice, the very next year I had the worst year of my life. That had to happen because the following year, 2012, I walked off my job and fired my boss. I was making 3 times more on my business from home than I was on my job. That would not have happened if I didn't go through 2011. If this is making sense what I'm saying, type me in the chat box. So, what was the thing that happened to me that I finally decided to put in practice the secret? Oh, I'm skipping. Let me go back to know what is the secret. So I talked about Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. The key thing that was lost in that was vibration. It does talk about law of attraction. Think. People, well, I'm gonna think my way to have as many women as possible. I'm gonna think to have the best this. I'm gonna think to make more money and da da da. Even when people watch the movie The Secret, and it wasn't working. There's got to be. Do you understand why you're thinking that? The intent behind it. The key word was vibration. Is vibration. See, Napoleon Hill over the last 150 years or so, he was the first. His teachings brought up another generation of guys like Earl Nightingale, who came out with a record called The Strangest Thing. Earl Nightingale's school generated other personal development leaders and coaches like Jim Rohn, Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, uh, Les Brown. All of them also teach the secret too. They just don't call it the secret, and they teach different versions of it, pieces of it. So throughout my career, from my 20s, 30s, and then 40s, they all played a role in my life at different points. The one that has the most impact, longest impact, has been Jim Rohn. The one who's the most popular, and he's most popular because he is able to generate immediate results, is Tony Robbins. The reason is because Tony Robbins focuses on physiology. If you ever see him on stage, you'll know he always does this all the time. You see, when he gets in his zone, he's always patting his chest. It's like for him, a heartbeat, a thump. He's aligning his vibration with the universe. People think he's just hyping himself up. No, there's a reason for this. If you change your physiology, you change your reality. How you feel at any moment is the most powerful thing. Because if you feel bad about something, you're vibrating that negative energy the most. If you're able to change that first and you start vibrating positive on your intention or where you want to be and where you want to go, without you understanding why, you start to attract that same vibration to you. How many of you ever before felt other people's energy? You walked into a room and you felt the energy was good or bad. How about you're able to feel somebody walking up behind you without you hearing them? You just feel the energy. There is an aura around every single person. It's like a force field. And we are able to interact with each other's force field subconsciously. And this even works regardless of distance. You can be on camera with somebody in a different country and you can still feel their energy. Isn't that right, Miss Casa? They don't have to even be in the same room and they can impact you. This is a law. It is not taught in school. Something you do on this side of the world can impact somebody else on the other side of the world without even speaking. if y'all are tuned into the same thing. So Tony Robbins, when he talks about changing your physiology is the first thing. And he says, how do you do that? Well, what makes you happy? Is it music? If you feel down, start dancing. Listen to your favorite music. What do you like to do? Do you like to golf? Then go golf. And you like to swim? Whatever you're doing right now, and you're sad, go do something that could put a smile on your face. Now, wealthy people understand this, which is why they put up a whole bunch of distractions to distract you from your problems, like the Roman Colosseum, entertainment, especially entertainment that is vibrating at a frequency that is not designed to push you forward, that's only designed to give you temporary relief. So you can temporarily forget about your problems. You ever thought of that? So when we go back to vibration, thoughts or things, here's how it works. Your brain is a magnet. Whatever you think and believe, your brain radiates that too out into the universe. And you start to attract things that's radiating that same frequency, that same energy. Likeness begets likeness. And so if you are always feeling bad about something, you keep attracting that to you. And understanding that when you do start to ask for something and think of something, the universe starts to work immediately. Now, based on where you are in life, you may start to see the results immediately, or it may take some time because that ocean that you just disturbed, that body of water that was just disturbed, you're on the other side of the planet. So it may take some time for that ripple effect to affect enough things to finally get to you. Most people don't have patience for that. And here's another problem too, where you get stuck. The moment you start this process, you can interrupt it as well because things aren't happening fast enough or not the way you want it to. And then you cut it off and now you got to start all over again. So here's what I learned when I finally was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Anybody ever been that way before? I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was like, enough's enough. I've been doing everything y'all said. I read every book. I can't recruit nobody to save my life. I can't sell a product. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants to join my team. I can't sign up big leaders. I can't get a better job. I can't make more money. Da 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 da. Da. And once I finally, well, there's two things that I did, and then I took action. The two things that finally woke me up, I read a book called The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. You want to write that one down. I've read that book multiple times and I recorded myself reading it, and it's on YouTube. Just go to YouTube, type in The Science of Getting Rich, Brandon Ivey. I read every chapter, I recorded every chapter. That was the first. The second was I listened to an audio series called Your Wish is Your Command by Kevin Trudeau. Now, Kevin Trudeau is a character. It ain't about him because the knowledge that he's sharing is not his. See, a lot of times people want to look at who the messenger is and disregard what the message actually is. So it ain't about him. And that changed my life. And I finally got out of my own way. and said, you know what? I have nothing to lose. I might as well just let me just do what it says and see what happens. So the first thing was focus on the goal and not the task. The goal is not to make more money. The goal is what is that extra money going to allow you to do? What type of life will you be able to have? And at the end, I'm going to give you an exercise that you can start literally tonight, that you can start doing that will change your life if you're consistent. So instead of looking at, man, did I memorize the script? Do I know how to do a presentation? Do I know the ingredients of the product? I mean, is this a good company? Is that a good company? Well, if I make 100 phone calls and I just get the nose out of the way, no, 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 no. Why am I doing all that? What's the end game? What's my goal? Focus on that. My goal is not your goal. What is your ultimate goal? That's what you focus on. Don't worry about the how, because when you start when you focus on that goal, then you start to think and daydream and have dream boards like I'm showing you right now, and you put yourself in it that I've already achieved it. And how does it feel to have achieved that goal? And you hold on to that. At the very beginning is going to be like sand that slips through your hand. You can't really grip it. It's not solid until you get stronger with it. But you start there, focusing on the goal. And that's what I did. And let me tell you what happened to me. The first thing that happened was I was in a company and I had Saturday morning presentations, kind of like how I do ILCA Saturday presentations like I did yesterday. And it was one morning, it was cold, it was rainy, it was depressing. I remember my alarm went off. I didn't feel like getting up. I was warm in bed with my wife. I'm like, I don't want to move, but I got to take care of business. So I got up, got in front of at that time, it wasn't Zooms like you see today. We had conference calls, like free conferencing. Remember that? So I called into the number, and whenever new people come on, you hear a ding, 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 ding. And I called in and there was no ding. Now, if there's no ding after like 4 or 5 minutes, the service will shut down. So on another phone, I called in, so at least there's two lines on to keep it open. And then I had another decision to make. I was like, no, should I go ahead and do this? Nobody's here. I could just go, close it down and go climb back in bed and then work this week harder to make sure I get some people on the call for next week, next Saturday. And then I said, something in my mind said, no, focus on the goal. And my goal at the time, as one of them was, I could see myself on stage with thousands of people wanting to listen and hear what I have to say. So I said, okay, I'm going to pretend like there's 1,000 people on this call and I'm going to practice and I'm going to give the same amount of energy and enthusiasm as if there was 1,000 people on the call. And I did the presentation anyway. And it was just me and myself and I. But I'm acting like there's 1,000 people listening to me. 10 minutes in, I hear another ding, but I didn't think nothing of it. I finished the presentation, closed it off, and then I went and climbed back in bed. 2 days later, Monday, I went back to work and I received a message. I don't remember if it was an email or social media. I forgot which one. But I received a message from a gentleman that says, Brandon, I want to apologize for coming to your meeting late on Saturday. Do you have a recording? But I was so blown away about it. I went back to my team on Sunday. we were making a decision. We were going to make a decision by Sunday night, which opportunity we wanted to join, and we were choosing between three, and yours was one of the three. And I loved the way your presentation was. We decided to choose your opportunity, and we all got started. And can you do another presentation by the end of the week? We're ready to go. I'm like, what? I didn't check the report. I look at the report and there's like 20 new people there. And then by the end of the week, there's more than 100. And that was my first major blow up success that I attribute to me practicing this law. Because if I was not, the normal Brandon would have got off the line when nobody was there and climbed back in bed, and I would have never even known that I missed that opportunity because they would have went and joined another company, and I would have never known it. That's the thing. There's not the universe is going to send me a memo and say, you missed an opportunity. Tough luck. Doesn't work that way. If this makes sense, type me in the chat box. Because I consciously said, no, I'm going to do it anyway. Focus on the goal. That was the result. That was the beginning. I have been doing this ever since. I have more stories that could, I mean, the evidence speaks for itself. July 13th, my birthday, 2012. It was a Friday. I walked off my job and fired my boss. And at least two of you that I know, I don't know if you're on right now, were around and saw me do that live. Jacqueline and Shauna Ross. That's inside of ILCA. There's a lot of people in my network that's not a part of ILCA that was there around that time. I became a seven-figure earner. I was vice president of sales of two companies. I became one of the most sought after presenters in the world of any opportunity. I succeed at any business that I do. The hard part now is not a challenge of me actually being able to perform. It's choosing the right opportunity that's going to be able to sustain what we bring to the table. That's the biggest challenge, not can I perform in it. Got into the ability to change careers and change directions and focuses and still have success no matter the industry. What is my focus going into my 50s? It's real estate, digital, crypto, the entire new digital financial space, tokenization. I wrote the tokenization course 2 years ago. So anybody thinking that I just came on tokenization because of e-estate, no. Me practicing the law has put an opportunity like e-estate on my radar screen that I did not ignore, that normally I wouldn't have paid attention to. And what does that mean, the radar screen? See, here's what happens with most people in life. We view life tunnel vision. We only see what is in front of us and what we believe. That is it. Everything else, and to us, is irrelevant. There's no other truth. There's no other world. We're the center of the universe. That's just human nature. You're going through life like a radar. And think of a radar, you only see what's on that radar screen. So if you're in looking at airplanes or sonar, you only see what's in your field of vision. When I was a kid, I used to study ants all the time at ant hills, and I had a little magnifying glass. And I would look at the ant colony with a magnifying glass. But does my magnifying glass capture the entire ants in the whole colony? Or do I have to continue to move that magnifying glass to capture everything else? So, is it safe to say that the ants that is outside of my magnifying glass is doing things that's going to impact the ants inside of my magnifying glass? Yes. You got to be aware of that. There are things taking place outside of your field of vision that's going to impact you directly or indirectly. You can even cause it to happen and start it to happen. I used to play around with this. That's how tricky it got, to the point my cousin Marnita has witnessed this countless times. She just saw it, what, 2 weeks ago. I did it again. $8,000 showed up. Here's also, too, the problem. It's not about the money. The money is just representative of resources. There are other things that also impact your life that's more valuable than the money. But since all you're looking for is, I'm waiting for the money to come to me, you are missing all the other blessings coming to you to get you to where you need to be. But you're focused on, I said I need more money. It could be in the form of different people coming into your life, different experiences, new values, new knowledge. Has nothing to do with money. That is helping to contribute to the satisfaction of the life you want to live. But we're focused on money. Does this make sense? So once I figured out that there is more to the world than the magnifying glass, and that I can't control everything, I need to let it go. And after letting it go, I expect these things to happen. So when they do, I'm not surprised. I am open for when things come, I see the opportunity. I haven't said this one in a long time. Let's go back to prayer, where a guy was says, I have to think if I can remember this how this story goes. The guy prays to the Lord for a sign of the Lord's existence. Lord, just tell me. I mean, my life is so sad. It's terrible. I mean, are you listening to me? Do you have a voice? And thunder goes across the sky. I mean, can you give me a sign that can you talk to me and wind goes past the ear? Can you touch me and butterfly lands on his hand? Lord, see, I mean, I'm coming to you on my knees and you're ignoring me. I'm thirsty and it rains, and you don't realize that that is part of it. It does not happen in the way you expect it to. You are small compared to the vastness of the universe. We have to be aware to be able to catch when these opportunities come our way, and that if we miss it, you can all it can it might have a complete reset. And it's like the universe, like, dang, I already sent it to you. Now I got to do it again. Go through the whole process again. There, I think the movie is Benjamin Button. I think that's the movie. There's a scene of a woman who has a tragic accident, and had one of these things in her day not happened, that accident would have been avoided because of a split second. Maybe the phone rang and not go back inside to answer the phone. Somebody blocking the doorway. Somebody stepped on your foot. I mean, just little things that may seem insignificant. Like who loves watching the Final Destination movies? And it's like a domino effect of bad coincidences that lead to the ultimate final destination. That's the universe. That's how it works. And you can activate it in your life. How are you feel? How are you vibrating? Here's another example. Let's say you're a woman and you've had nothing but bad relationships. with men. It's like every husband or boyfriend you have, there's always a problem. And when your girlfriend says, you know what, maybe you need to see some therapy or psychology or something, a therapist about this, counseling. And the first thing the counselor says, you know what, let me ask you a question. What is it that you want in a man? And she says, well, I don't want a man that stays out late all night, that after work goes to the bar, a man that would rather spend time with his friends than hang out with me, a man that's abusive verbally and physically to me, a man that doesn't want to love my children. I don't want a man like that. And the therapist says, and that makes sense. I mean, what woman wants a man like that? But you didn't answer the question. I didn't ask what you don't want in a man. I asked you, what do you want in a man? Hmm. The woman thinks about that for a second. Well, I want a man that makes me feel safe. I want a man that will love me unconditionally. I want a man that will love my children and wants to spend time with me. I want a man that creates experiences with me that I can laugh with and enjoy life with and grow old with. Huh. That's a different answer, isn't it? But she's so focused on what she doesn't want that that is what her brain is vibrating. That is what her body is sending out. And so she keeps attracting the men to do that because the brain doesn't know negatives. It only knows feelings. How are you feeling? And wants to reciprocate that feeling. So you can determine whether it's a good feeling or a bad feeling. And that's the signal you're sending out. And so you keep attracting the same type of person over and over and over and over again. Now that you switch that vibration, switch that thought process, now you will begin to attract like-minded individuals to you. Have you ever wondered why there's some people that always think they're always lucky? It's like, man, that person's always lucky. It is not luck. They're just attracting what they're vibrating to them, and you're not. What do you mean, Brandon? I'm always thinking about money. I think about money more than everybody. That means I should have a whole lot of money. Really? How do you feel about money? Huh? What? Money doesn't grow on what? Weren't we taught that one? What do you think? You'll finish the sentence. Money doesn't grow on what? What do you think I'm made of? I can't afford it. We don't have enough of it. I'm worried because the here we are, December 28th. Do I have enough money to pay my rent and my mortgage on January 1st? Do I have enough money to buy groceries, to pay off debt? I go to the grocery store, prices are high. Can I afford it? So while you are thinking of money, do you know poor people think of money more than rich people do? Because rich people don't think of money, rich people think of lifestyle. And then they attract the money that creates that lifestyle. Where broke people is thinking about money in a negative way. They feel bad about it. So every time your brain thinks about that word money, it doesn't know the word, it knows the feeling attached to the word. And now all you do is keep attracting that negative to you. Lack of. You're in your own way. I'm almost 50 now, so I've experienced both sides. It's a great feeling. You go to the store, you never look at the price tag. You get something because you want it, not can I afford it. You start thinking of lifestyle, not, okay, how can I make the money so that I can go and do this? I think of lifestyle first, and then all of a sudden, if I realize my bank account is not going to allow me to do that, then I have a problem. I start focusing back on that lifestyle to make the bank account match it. You can be successful using the secret and not have $1 million in the bank. That's another, people think, oh, I should be a multimillionaire because I'm doing the secret. No, depending on what it is that you're focusing on and what type of lifestyle you want to lead, that's what you're going to attract to you. So that means you want to have more money, you need to work on what that lifestyle is, what that experience is. That's another word. Our souls, we're here to experience something. It's not designed to be born in like chattel slavery and work at somebody's job for all your life and then to die broke after 2 years of retirement. That's not natural. There was a study that was done on some of the poorest regions of the world and found not depression, they found a happy community. They have what they need. They have what they're provided for. They were much more happier than people in New York on Wall Street with $2 million in the bank and they're working 80 hours a week, never spending time with their family, never being able to enjoy anything, always stressed out because they got to make the next quota or things don't go right or the market crashed. Those poor people were happier than the rich people. I saw a story just the other day on some lottery winner that once again said, she said, I wish we didn't win the lottery. The lottery ruined our family. And now, I mean, I can't even talk to my mom and my aunt, and I gave them $4 million each or $2 million each. And now they're trying to make me feel guilty because I'm not buying them a beach house. And they're always coming to me for more. And now I have more aunts and uncles that I didn't even know I had coming out the woodwork asking for stuff. Another lottery winner said if I didn't win the lottery, my son would still be alive because he took the money I gave him and he became a drug addict. Another woman said I used to love the church that I was going to, but I won the lottery and the bishop expected me to give $40 million to the church. And when I didn't, said that I was not being a good steward. I was not tithing properly enough and kicked me out of the church. And now I don't have that church home that I grew up in that I loved. It ain't about the money. If you are not mentally prepared, whatever money you end up getting, you will lose eventually. Why do you think basketball players, baseball players, entertainers, football players go broke 7 to 10 years after leaving the league? They never learned the mental discipline or what it takes to earn that type of money, and they definitely didn't know how to keep it when their natural talent faded away. They weren't prepared and they didn't earn that money through the law of the universe. They earned that money through their ability in a specific field, and that's limited. And what did I say again? The universe is not limiting. They weren't focusing on the right thing, most of them. So let's go back to that story of that woman. She changed her vibration, changed her thinking, started asking the right questions, and she started to get the results. Let's say for those of you in network marketing, because when I first learned this, I didn't understand more than just I need to use a secret so that I can be successful and make some money. That was my mindset in the early days. And to me, success was having a large organization with some of the top networkers in the world. And I'm like, I can't sign up my own brother. I can't sign up nobody. So here's a thing one of my mentors that told me to do. Say, go out into the bathroom and look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself this question. Would I sign up with you? Would I sign up with you? And be honest. Don't lie to yourself. You can lie to the world and everybody else, but if you're lying to yourself, you got a lot of work to do. Be honest with yourself. Would I sign up? And when I looked in the mirror, no, I wouldn't. And then you say, what type of leader is it that you want to attract? What type of qualities do you want that leader to have? Identify it, know what it is. And then instead of saying, yeah, I want that type of leader, what you say is, I am going to become that type of leader. I am going to have those attributes. And then start acting as if, not fake it till you make it. Get that out of your vocabulary. Ain't no faking over here. Act as if. Like if my mom didn't tell me fake being healed so that the Lord can heal you. No, my mom said, thank the Lord for healing you. Act as if, like it's a done deal. You're looking at the universe like, what's taking so long? Because if you act as if it's more of a belief, you believe it. You're not just trying to get everybody else to believe your bullshit. You believe it. When you believe something, facts don't matter. The two most powerful things in the world are the emotions. Well, most powerful emotions and love. Also, throw in hate. Same thing on opposite sides. Act as if. Walk into a room like you belong in that room, not that you just snuck in. I walk into a room, I act like I own it. Those of you who've been around me, you've experienced that. Have you ever met people and you just know there's something about them. You don't know what it is, but there's something about them. Let me see who's on here is Gina Muhammad still here? Yeah, Gina, you remember I went to Philly to do an event and the team out in Philly took me out to dinner. And we all had a big table and we were all just hanging out, and chatting and whatnot. And other people in the restaurant were watching. Afterwards, the waitress came up to me and says, "What, are you famous or something? You from where are you from? You Hollywood? You an actor?" Or Marnita experienced this. We were in, I think, Houston, and a couple of us went to have breakfast. No, not well, let me just real quick, Gina. Let me say, Gina, you were there, right?
Yes, sir, I was.
You
And I
remember that?
remember, yeah, we were right on 54th Street, um, 4 blocks from where I live. And we were all at a big table in the restaurant. And
That's
and I mean it was the atmospheres, like you said, when you walk in, you can feel the energy. And the energy was so great there. I still have pictures. I have to find them because I keep pictures. I'm bad
right.
about not deleting stuff. But yeah, I remember totally.
All
Because
right,
that's when we were first getting started, and I'm done.
thank you, Gina. Yeah, there was with Marnita, we were at breakfast and we were talking with each other, and people around was ear hustling, and one of them jumped in. It was like, "Hey, can I talk to you guys? Ask some questions." Her husband was a little annoyed. Wait, this just happened. Yeah, it happened in Vegas. That's right. Marnita and her mother were in a restaurant, and I went in there to meet them, and I sat down with them, And it happened again as far as I don't know these people, but they sure was trying to figure out who is this guy? Who is he? And Miss Casa, you have about a minute you wanna pipe in on that? No, I'm catching her off guard.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so which one? When we were in Vegas or when we were in Houston?
We'll share both.
Okay. So my favorite was when we were in Houston, and the reason why is because we're in IHOP. We were with maybe, uh,
I
yeah, it maybe two or four other people, and let me tell you something. The men that were at this table, including Mr. Ivy, and the conversation about money, about forward thinking, about the future. Yes, he is absolutely right. There was a young lady that was sitting next to our table with her husband and their child. Okay. And the conversation was just so deep and so intense that she, like, basically jumped over to our table and was like, "What are you guys talking about? I want to know about that because I've been telling my husband and he's not getting into it." Like, she just started going in, but it was phenomenal because it was our people and they were paying attention to what was being said. Now, when we were in Vegas, that was really shocking even for me. So yeah, we were sitting there having dinner, and then Mr. Ivy comes in and sits down with us. Now we were talking about. I had asked him a simple question: "What is your thoughts on the future of the Ivy League Coaching Academy?" And this man went into his spirit, and he was just talking about the future. Now, mind you, to the right of us, there was another table. Now, when he first got there, it was one set of people sitting at that table, and they were quiet. First, they were eating. Then all of a sudden, they were listening to everything he said. They had to get up. Next people came in. They sat down, started listening, and was paying attention. Then all of a sudden, this guy that I didn't even know who he was is like, Brandon Ivey. So he comes over and he starts, they start talking business and future and money. And then they go across the restaurant to another guy. So it was beautiful to see in person on different occasions how that energy, the vibration, when you are putting that out, how it absolutely will attract other people of like minds. Back to you, Mr. I.
Thank you for sharing that. Just wanted to give you guys an example. Now, I first learned from my father. I mean, you guys have seen me interview my dad. He's got a very powerful personality, and he always walks into a room like he owns the room. So I could get that from him, but I also am an introvert. I also know how to walk into a room and nobody know that I'm there. And because I know how to change my energy and my physiology. But I know how to, and you guys want to be able to walk into a room and you are somebody, okay? And people will feel it and they can't put their finger exactly as to why. Who are you? Why should I know you? Why should I want to introduce myself to you? This is law of attraction. I don't recruit. I take applications. I don't recruit. I have not recruited for anything maybe 12, 13 years, yet I'm always the number one recruiter of any business. It is the law of attraction. So when you're looking at that mirror and you're saying you're honest with yourself and saying, no, I wouldn't sign up with you, not yet. You need to identify who are the type of people would you like to have in your circle? You know, birds of a feather flock together. You take the five closest friends around you right now, add up their bank account, divide it by five, and all of y'all got the same amount in the bank account. And if that means nothing, you need a new set of friends. You need a new circle. Let me tell you what Henry Ford said. Henry Ford was at one point the richest man in the world. He was not an educated man. And the courts wanted to make fun of him for that. And so while he was in court on something that they wanted to bring something up on him, they didn't like him being so rich. And they were just asking questions to prove that he was not a smart man, that he was more of a grifter or a con artist or something. And they were asking him a series of questions that he cannot answer. See, we told you he's not smart. He got lucky. And he finally said, I don't need to be smart. I just hire people like you that are smarter than me. The courtroom was silent. And one of them said, well, what if you didn't have any money and you lost all your money and that way you can't hire smart people because you can't afford it? Where would you be? What would you do? And he said simply, I would find out where rich people hang out and I would spend all my time over there. Hmm. See, he understood the law. In fact, he was a gatekeeper of it for the next century. Think about that. For the next 100, he was the gatekeeper. Through him, Napoleon Hill, and then you go through Earl Nightingale, then the Les Browns and Tony Robbins, and that were teaching it, and people not getting the real information, so they say it doesn't really work for 100 years. Watered down version. So when you figure out that type of leader, you become that leader. Then you will start to attract those people. People, Brendan, yeah, you were you are because you got so and so signed up with you. But why didn't that person sign up with you? Why didn't that person want to do business with you? Why didn't you get that phone call? I got a phone call that I'm supposed to be in a room with the CEOs of a billion-dollar organization in LA on January 9th, 2 days before they have a big event, to be in the room. How did I get that phone call? Why didn't you get that phone call? Become who you want to attract. That has to happen first. It doesn't work the other way around. Because if you get lucky, you will never be able to hold on to it or keep it. It will be just fleeting from you. You got lucky on that. It doesn't stay. I didn't realize how long I'm going. I'm going to end with giving you guys an assignment. How can I begin this working for me as we're going into the new year? How can we begin? Here's how you do this. This is where you the other so-called leaders, they don't teach this. They teach you fluff. When you go to bed tonight, before you go to bed, if you're about to do your night rituals and your prayer and all that, brush your teeth, take your shower and everything, and before you close your eyes, you need to identify this answer to this question. What would you do with your life if money was no longer an issue in your life? What does that mean? That means you wake up and you have like unlimited funds in your bank account. What would you do? Now, I'm not going to make it easy because I'm going to take something away. Most people will say, oh, well, first I eliminate all my debt. I go buy my dream home, get my dream car, pay off all of my student loans, have a fund set up for my kids. Their college will be taken care of, buy my grandma a house, have my summer home somewhere else, go on a shopping spree in New York and Bel Air, go on vacations and cruises and all that. Okay. And you did that for an entire year. And at the end of the year, You wake up on a Monday morning when normally you would have to go to work, but you don't have to go to work no more. And you wake up and there's more money in your account than you started with off that shopping spree. What would you do? Because now you've already bought everything you wanted to buy. You've already taken all the vacations you've ever, your heart desired. You can only sit on some of you think that you can just sit on the beach for weeks at a time. No, you can't. Yeah, sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go be productive, you know? And you don't understand it until you've actually done it. But what would you do with the rest of your day? What would you do with the rest of your life? 90% of people never have this thought because as adults, and I'm giving you permission to dream again. See, they say dreamers are for kids, right? Kids have huge imaginations. Kids believe they can become whatever they want, and that one day is gonna happen. And then what happens when they become an adult? Reality hits, right? And you can't afford to dream as an adult because you got bills to pay. Get your head out of the clouds. You got reality. The only time adults dream is when the lotto goes to $1 billion and you're on your job and everybody in the department puts in as a group and then you get off of work and you're thinking about, man, this day sucked. Man, I hate these people. I don't want to come to work. Well, what if I win that lottery? This happened to me once where I got in the car after work and I was on my way home and I started thinking about what would I do if I won the lottery? And I started just thinking about all the things I would do with the money. Next thing you know, I'm pulling up to my house and I snapped out of my daydream and I don't remember how I got home because it was automatic. My head was in the clouds. I don't remember. Did I stop at that stoplight? Did I run a red light? Did I cut somebody off? I don't remember how I got home because I was in dream mode. And that's the only time people dream. So I'm giving you permission to dream. Dream again. What passions do you have? What do you like to do for fun? What is soul satisfying that you can't do because you're on a 9 to 5 job and you only get 2 weeks vacation and you're not allowed to go anywhere further away on a Friday because you got to be back on your cubicle by Monday morning? What if you didn't have to answer to anybody? See, when I walked off my job, that was freedom day for me. I didn't have millions of dollars in the bank, but I didn't have to work a job no more. I didn't have to have somebody telling me what to do. I could do whatever I want, wake up whenever I finish sleeping. That was the life. It still is. Sometimes I forget that and I have to remind myself whenever I get in my own head, how come I don't have $1 million in my bank? The universe, what the hell's going on? Remember where you are today, 10, 15 years ago, you wish you would got to this point. It may be happening a little later than you thought it would. But what would you do with your day? See, I said earlier that sometimes the most depressed people are wealthy people. Want to know why? Because they have now eliminated 40 to 60 hours a week of focusing on somebody else's dream. So now it's that extra 40 to 60 hours of them focusing on themselves and who they are as a person. And if you're not a good person, if you've got your own demons, you've got your own issues and problems, the only thing money did was allowed you to expand that, who you already are as a person. Well, you see some of the most vile and nasty wealthy people doing God knows unimaginable things, like the Epstein group, because they could. They were always that way. Money just allowed it to be magnified. All money does is magnify who you are. So, who are you? What do you want to be? And you focus on that, and the resources that come, the money that come is only going to magnify that. You're a giving person, you have empathy, you love helping others, you love building things in communities. You will be have a joyous time. If that's not you, you're depressed looking at your own life. Like, man, my life, I'm not a really good person. Get depressed, get into drugs and your vanities. There's nothing stopping you until you hit. Why do you think you hear that word? That person's got to hit rock bottom before they make a decision. And that's the key word there. Decision. Decide. And you can decide right now before the resources. So make a decision on and figure out what would you do with your time if money wasn't an object? And then here's the most important part. How does it make you feel to have achieved that? What if you are living your dream? How does it make you feel? Act like you've already achieved it. How do you feel about it? This is key why you're doing this before you go to sleep, because when you go to sleep, your subconscious is still active. Your brain is still active. You ever heard the term people, man, let me sleep on it. Your brain is still working out issues and problems and things while you're sleeping. You have the power to trick your brain. Your brain does not know the sky is blue or anything is going on outside of it. It only knows what you're telling it to. It only knows what you believe. It only knows how you feel, and it's attracting that back to you. It doesn't know words. That's why the focus isn't on the word. The focus is on how does the word make you feel? Now you start having a different feeling about money. Instead of it being lack of and bad, you're now feeling very good and resourceful. And it's just a tool to get you to where you want to be, not the be all of itself. People say, man, my goal is to make a lot of money. My goal is to have $5 million. Really? Okay, then what are you going to do then? Spend it? You just missed the whole point. You're not focusing on the right thing. The universe doesn't know what money is because to the universe everything is free. When you read The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, there's no lack. Everything is free. We designed a system that you have to pay for something, and we think we're enlightened. Once you figure out what it is, once you figure out how it makes you feel, then go to sleep. Go to sleep with that feeling. So your brain is vibrating on it all night. And you know what's going to start happening? You're going to start having weird dreams. Yeah. Pay attention to your dreams. And you're going to wake up in the morning and you're going to feel good. And you're not going to know why. But if you're doing this for the first time, it'll last for maybe 5 seconds when you first open your eyes. Because then reality is going to hit you and you're coming back to, dang, I got to get up. I got to go to work. I got to worry about this. I got this bill to pay. Oh, I got to see this person and blah, blah. All your problems in life is going to come flooding back in and it's going to wipe that feeling away. So the next exercise is when you wake up, before you do anything, do the same exercise again. You have your dream board, your vision board up. So that can be the first thing you see. And you do it again. We're coming on the new year, which means people are going to go get some gym memberships, right? How do you build more muscles? You got to work your muscles and you have to be consistent. You can't just go for a week and expect all of a sudden you're going to look like The Rock. What you're doing here is an exercise on working out your brain because these thought processes is creating connections in your brain. When you first start doing it, they're small and they're weak. But the more you do it, they get stronger, they get thicker, and you're able to hold on to these feelings a lot longer than before. And then they become natural to you. Right now, it is easy for you to think negative. It is easy for you to think bad. You have to put an effort to smile. You have to put an effort to feel good naturally without waiting for all of you. I can guarantee you, if you opened up your bank account right now and saw an extra $5,000, your physiology would immediately change. No matter how you feel right now, you would automatically feel better. Trick your brain to be able to get that feeling without you having to see $5,000 extra in the bank account. And you can do that at any time. But the more you do this, the more those thought processes become natural. So, and then once it's more natural, the longer you're vibrating at that frequency, the longer you're giving the universe time to react to it. It's like pushing a boulder uphill. It's going to be hard at first. And then once you get to the top, you start to go on the other side, it starts rolling down by itself and it becomes subconscious. You don't even have to think about it. You're automatically doing it anyway. You have to, it's a reprogramming that takes place, and you have to be patient. You've gone your entire life being programmed a certain way, yet you think that in 1 month of you doing something different, you're going to see results overnight. Doesn't work that way. You will start seeing little things, and they may be small, and you take the small victories, one small step at a time. Some people, the universe works in mysterious ways that God worked, and next somebody does have immediate results. Some people it takes 10 years like it took me. Some people it takes longer. Samuel Jackson's acting career didn't start till he was over 40. Warren Buffett, 99% of his wealth was made when he was over 60 years old. Just happens that way. But if you practice this, because you can control this, nobody can take from you going into dream mode before you go to sleep. And then make it a habit. If you got to put it on a calendar or schedule or what, do it 3 times a day, right before you go to sleep, when you wake up in the morning, and on your lunch break. You guys know my story. I always go on my birthday to the park. It's a park I used to walk to when I had a 9 to 5 job. And I was always wishing when at that park that one day I'll be able to come to this park whenever I want to, not just on my lunch break. That was my moment of dream mode in the middle of the day on that stupid ass job. So I still go to that park every year on my birthday as a reminder. And be thankful. Openly show and give gratitude for where you are right now. No matter how bad you think it is, it could be worse. Be grateful for what you've already been given, because that is also a vibration. And if you're vibrating on being grateful, the universe is gonna give you more things to be grateful for because you can handle what you've already been given. You're not going to be given something you can't handle. Remember, I talked about the other day about the cup? See, what we're doing here is we're building you a bigger cup. Your brain is the cup. And you can't be thinking of the size of your head because your brain has access to the entire universe. It is a receiver. It is connected, like the Matrix. You just have to learn how to connect to it, which is why I said I'm a student right now. None of this information I'm sharing is my knowledge. I'm connected to it. So I'm still learning, and I will always be learning. I'm not a master. I'm not Yoda. I am just stating that I have discovered that there is a law that's not being taught to us and how to activate it. So I'm never surprised when things happen. I expect them to happen, and they don't always happen the way I want. Here's something else too, and you guys have been with me long enough to have experienced this. We always begin the year with some goals in mind and some things that we're doing, and we always end the year with something that was not even on our radar screen. We didn't even see coming. Wasn't even on my sphere. But that doesn't matter because I was focused on the goal. And sometimes what I may begin with isn't going to reach the goal that I need. So an audible is called. And the universe throws different things. Says, okay, we need to make a left turn here. How many of you guys got GPS, Waze, or whatever on your phone? So when you're driving, and then all of a sudden your phone says, "Update, there's traffic ahead. We have a new alternate route. Click if you want to take the new alternate route or stay." Sometimes we got to take an alternate route. And that takes us off where we began the beginning of the year. And that's still okay because the destination, the goal is the point. If you're so focused on the task, you just went off on a detour and you lost your destination. You end up somewhere else. As long as what you're doing gets you to the goal, that's the focus. 2026 with ILCA Coaching Academy, that's what we're going to be focusing on. I'm going back to personal development and self-improvement, teachings and trainings on top of see crypto is just a tool. Tokenization is just a tool. Tokenized real estate is a means to an end, not the end goal itself. If that makes sense, type me in the chat box. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the secret. Let me rephrase that. That is my interpretation of the secret. There are many other different interpretations that, if you discover them, may align with you more, an understanding. Not my information. This is my interpretation based on my own experiences. When Oprah Winfrey learned of the secret, she said, "Oh, I've been doing that all my life. I just didn't know there was a name to it." Some may call it manifesting. You're praying. It's the science behind it. It's not just mumbo jumbo. The Bible is not just some crackpot stuff where miracles and whatnot. There is science behind it that makes it all true. It's just how you choose to activate it is different. Doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just different. You're activating the same source. But you also have to be careful because as much as you can activate it for what you think is good, you can also activate it for the results being bad. That can hurt other people. You're still activating the same source. It's almost like I remember my oldest son, we went to see Harry Potter, and there's a scene where they go into the bookstore, and I think Harry's getting his wand, and the bookstore guy says, you know, Voldemort was great. He was destined for greatness. It just so happens he used that greatness for evil. That doesn't take away the fact that he had access, like Star Wars, the Force, the dark side, the light side, the Sith, and the Jedi. It's not the Sith are evil and the Jedi are good. They both can be both. How the knowledge and power is being used is what matters. And that's an individual choice. So with that, I want to thank you guys for coming along on this journey as I was teaching myself tonight, because I needed to hear this again myself, getting ready for this new year, recharging my batteries, and ready to explode and move forward. I'm not the master, I'm a student, and I still have a lot to learn and a lot of growth to go through, even as I'm turning 50 years old. I'm thankful and I am grateful for all that I've been able to accomplish and how many lives we've been able to touch. And I'm ready for more. Take it to the next level. Some of you will be here at the end of the year when I do the secret again, 1 year from now, and some of you will not. I wish you the best on your personal journey and take some of these steps to begin that first lesson. Do it before you go to sleep tonight and then be consistent with it. How long can you continue to do that? Will you stop in a week, in a month? Most of you will stop most of you at most will do it for maybe 3 weeks and then you'll stop. I hate to say it, numbers don't lie. Most of you listening to me right now, that you may do it tonight, you may get it for 2 to 3 weeks and then you're gonna stop. And when you stop, you're not even gonna realize that you stopped until you hear me or somebody else bring it up again in a couple of months. I'm like, oh yeah, because you're gonna get right back into the flow of life. All right, with that, thank you guys for being here. Um, there will not be crypto talk tomorrow morning. I got airport runs to do. So I won't be doing any broadcast tomorrow. So we'll be back with the full day crypto talk on Tuesday. And I will be doing a special broadcast Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And that will be the topic of that will be what is the difference between residual income based on what network marketing teaches, selling product and services and building huge teams and whatnot, and passive income off of assets and the I quadrant that Robert Kiyosaki wrote about in Cash Flow Quadrant. Most people don't know the difference. So I'm going to break that down Tuesday night and we'll let you know how. I haven't fully decided if I'll do it. Yeah, yeah, if I do it Zoom, yeah, I'll do it Zoom like this. No, that we're going to be doing that in place of the Diamond class for Tuesday night. So we'll use the same link that we're using right now. Okay. The same link that we're using right now, we'll use and same time. And I will be streaming it live. So call it like a version of Diamond Class that we're going to allow other people to have an insight on what our community gets from hanging out with me every single day. All right, with that, thank you everybody for being here. Enjoy the rest of your evening and New Year's coming up. I hope you learned something new. As always, that's the point. And I will see you guys on Tuesday. Brandon Ivey out. God bless. Bye bye.